Eulogi, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Marcos. It's a pleasure being here today with you.
I'm excited to talk to you today. So,
Me-
Eulogi, let's get started with a quick background of yourself and your current company, Flowbox.
Okay, just for the audience, kind of to know me a bit better, I am from Barcelona, Spain. I am 41 years old. Born and raised in Barcelona, studied economics here as well. Did some exchange programs abroad. I was in the United States at Carnegie Mellon, then I was at the Wharton School of Business, and later on I went into the London School of Economics. And when I finished my economics degree, I joined a management consulting company. So I was working there as a management consultant, doing all sort of projects for all sort of industries, downsizing organizations, sales force efficiency, M&A, operational models, organizational models, all these kind of things. And I was doing this for nearly 4 years. Then with some colleagues, we decided to build our own consulting company, and we did so. And I stayed with this project for nearly 2 years. And then I moved to Madrid. And in Madrid, I became the general manager of a technological business unit of a human resources company. And after that project, I felt kind of that something inside me was kind of requiring to build my own thing, my own tech thing. And I decided to join forces with my co-founder at Photoslurp, and we both launched Photoslurp back in 2015. We would start the company for the first 2 years. We raised some money as well, and later in 2022, we decided to join forces with Flowbox. That was the other, let's say, it was the other competitor in the European space for what we were doing at Photoslurp. So we decided to join forces with Flowbox, and on that process, Marcus, that he is the founder of Flowbox and he was the former CEO. He said, "Hey, Eulo, I really want to focus my energy and my kind of brain into other projects, and I feel that you will be an excellent CEO for the future of Flowbox." So yeah, I accepted the challenge and I am here. So that's kind of a big, not a big, but a nice introduction of where I am now, where I am coming from, and where I am today.
Awesome. So we'll get back to the founding story of Flowslop and then how you guys merged forces with Flowbox. But to
Sure.
contextualize the size of Flowbox right now, can you share any metrics about the company so that the audience knows what's the size of the
Yeah,
business?
yeah, yeah, definitely. So right now we are, at least on closing data for 2024, we are on 6.5 million euros in annual revenue rate. We are working with closely to around 800 brands across the globe. Most of them, they are located in continental Europe. We have kind of a distribution of around 20% in the Nordics, another 20% in the Benelux, then probably will come Spain with around 15%, then France, then Germany, then UK, Italy, and then the rest of the world for us. And then we are a team of 50 people approximately. We are distributed in 3 offices. We have the headquarters are based in Stockholm because Flowbox is a Swedish entity. And then we have we call it the sales hub, that is Amsterdam. And then we have the operations hub, that is Barcelona, where we have the tech, product, customer success, tech support, and marketing teams. Okay.
Yeah, the one thing I was looking at your guys' Instagram before the call, and I found it really interesting how you have many posts on Instagram in different languages. And the
Yeah,
company is very international, well, in Europe, but very cross-cultural.
yeah, and this is done in purpose for many reasons. So first of all, by definition, we are let's say, an international company. So on my case, it's I'm Spanish, but I'm managing a company that sits in Sweden with offices in Amsterdam as well, and in Barcelona, and obviously the Swedish office. Um, but we have a lot of nationalities across the team. So, for example, in just the Barcelona office, we have French people, we have Colombian people, we have Costa Rican people, we have Moroccan people, we have someone as well from the UK, someone from obviously Barcelona. So we have a lot, Cuban as well. We have a lot of nationalities, okay, in across the whole company. So, and then on the other side, as I said, no, we are a European company that sells mostly to European market, and we know that in Europe we speak a lot of languages. So why we have this, let's say, this kind of multicultural Instagram profile is for two things. One, to show to our customers that we speak their language. So we are able to support Catalan, Spanish, French, Italian, Dutch, German, Swedish, Danish, Norwegian. We support that languages, so we can show to our customers that we work with your language, and also for us a way to attract talent and to retain our talent as well, because we can show, especially if we are in Barcelona, that we can show that we are a international office, that we embrace all sorts of cultures. The same happens for the Amsterdam office, and the same happens for the Swedish office. So this is why you are seeing kind of such kind of different languages on our Instagram profile, is for this reason, Marcos.
That's very cool. And I know you guys work with e-commerce brands, and I want to hear it in your own words what exactly Flowbox does. But from an outsider's perspective looking in, I know a lot of e-commerce brands focus on specific markets as well. So I guess it's important for them to be able to communicate in their own local language. But before getting there, can you dive into exactly what Flowbox does, and
Yeah,
also what your definition of what UGC is for the
yeah,
audience?
yeah. So basically, how I would kind of explain Flowbox. Basically, we are a marketing technology and marketing technology that supports e-commerce brands. Okay, and what do we do for e-commerce brands is we enable them to leverage all the social, visual, user-generated content. Okay, what does that mean? This means that our technology will go through the social networks, and through the APIs, it will automatically collect all those images and videos that the customers, influencers, content creators, the employees, whatever, no, of any brand, they post on social media featuring the brand through hashtags, tags, and mentions. Okay, so all this content that is kind of populating the social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, all this content, it gets aggregated into our management platform. Okay, from which from which our customers, they can access this content in a centralized way. They can moderate the content, they can organize the content, they can ask permissions to the who posted that content, no? So in a way for the brand to use it in a commercial way. And also, once they have done this, they can also make this content shoppable. Okay, what this means is that they can easily connect this video or this photo to the products that they sell into their online store. And once they have done this, then our technology will automatically, let's say, distribute this content across the whole shopping journey. Okay, so for example, the most obvious integration, it's the e-commerce. So if we go into one of our customers, you will see probably on the homepage, a kind of a slider. We call it a flow. This kind of flow with all those images and videos that the community has posted featuring the products of this brand. Okay. Once you click on each one of these videos or images, the image will pop up and you will see which products are tagged to the image. Once you click on that product, you will be driven to the product page. And from there, you can also see kind of a flow with all those images and videos featuring this exact product that you are in. Okay. So, and why this is important is because we are able to provide inspirational elements. We're able to provide social proof. We're able to provide kind of a way for any kind of consumer to see how the product is used, to see how the product is kind of styled, and from the real content, from real users, from real people. Okay, this adds trust, this adds confidence, and therefore this enables brands to increase their online sales and engagement. Okay, make sense so far, Marcus?
Yeah, I have a few
And
questions. Yeah, go
yeah, yeah,
ahead.
yeah, yeah, and I just told you the kind of the simple case that is e-commerce, but as I said, we integrate across the whole shopping journey. This means that we integrate with emails, we integrate with mobile applications, we integrate with digital screens on stores, at the back to social media, performance ads, social ads, etc. At the end, what we tell our customers or our prospects is that with Flowbox, they will be able to enrich the whole shopping journey with real content, authentic content that will drive an increase in online sales and engagement. Make sense?
Yeah. So the challenge that these companies face is that, for example, if I have a company, let's say I don't have a watch on, but imagine I have a watch on and I sell watches. And and people are posting my brands on various social media platforms. There's a ton of content out there, but this content is all over the place in all of the different platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Pinterest that you mentioned. And so what Flowbox does is it gives these brands a singular place where they can go and find that content, and then they can integrate that into their sales flows in however way they want, using the examples you mentioned, maybe on their website, maybe in ads, in emails, etc. Is that a good summary of what Flowbox does?
Perfect, man. I will sign you up for our sales team, man.
I love it. I love it. I'll take you up on that. So, Logi, the one question that comes to mind. So, a bit of background on myself. I've worked as a software engineer for the last 5.5 years. So, I'm very much in the code, working with APIs, etc. This one technical question comes into my brain: is when you're connecting to these APIs from these social media platforms, how are you able to determine that a specific piece of content is associated with a specific brand?
Because as I said, we collect the content, or the content that we retrieve is the content that has been either hashtag. So let's say the
Okay.
hashtag Marcus Pepin watches,
Yeah.
or the tag, they have tagged you, or they have mentioned you.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's
So,
able to
so
do a one-to-one comparison there.
correct. So basically, let's say Instagram, no? So we access through the API of Instagram. We say, hey, Instagram, please give me those images that have been posted in whatever the last 5 minutes that mention or are, that mention Marcus Pepin, or the hashtag Marcus Pepin, or they tagged Marcus Pepin.
Gotcha. Okay. So
Okay.
obviously in the last few years, social media is something I've seen in my lifetime. I'm 28, so I've seen it when it started with Facebook when I was 13, 14, changed to Instagram, Snapchat, and now the last few years, TikTok. You started your first company, Photoslurp, back in 2015, and then you later merged with Flowbox in, I believe you mentioned 2022.
Correct.
So I'd love to go back to when you first founded that company, which would eventually merge to Flowbox. And if you guys were targeting this similar sort of problem, or was that something that developed over the years? Because back in 2015, the social media landscape was a lot different than what it is now.
Yeah. So maybe I can explain you how we get started with Photoshop. Okay, because
Mm.
Photoshop started from a failed project. So the first version, let's say version 1.0 of Photoshop, was a platform for people to share content when they were in an event. Let's say that we go to a wedding, and you, Marcus, you're a Instagram, I am a Twitter guy, whatever. We both take pictures, we both share pictures on our social media, but we want to kind of exchange that content in a way. Okay, so Photoshop version 1 was enabling you and me to create a Dropbox shared folder, so that was kind of syncing with the social media. Okay,
Okay.
so my co-founder Ben, he launched that thing in late 2013. He didn't succeed at all. There was not kind of the market need at that moment in time, but he had some users. But in any case, it was kind of not enough for him to keep the company alive. So he decided to shut down the thing. And he sent out an email to all these, let's say, 1,000 users, and one of them came back and said, hey, maybe, you know what, I'm launching an e-commerce brand. I went to China, I bought some watches, and I need a tool for me to go into social media and automatically collect all the images that influencers. At the moment in time, there was not the concept of influencers, no, that some kind of people on Instagram will share, no. So I want a tool that will go on Instagram, will look for this content that will be posted by people, and I can bring it back to my e-commerce. Okay, because I do not have kind of the resources to pay for a nice photographer. So this is why I'm sending some units to some people on Instagram so they can take some pictures, they can share it on social media. Maybe I will get some noise out of this, but I will reuse these images into my e-commerce. So is there for you kind of a way for me to get this content from social media? Because I actually, no, instead of searching from the wedding of John and Maria, why don't you search for my brand? I said, I have no issues on doing this. So it's the same API call. It's the same API call. I just need to work in a way to get this content into your e-commerce. So he said, okay, give me some months and I will get you an MVP. And this was then back in August 2014 when he delivered this MVP to this guy, and he said, "This is exactly what I want." So from here, at that moment in time, my co-founder Ben, he said, "Okay, maybe here we have a business, and I might look for a business co-founder." And this is why I was the business co-founder then. So I became the business co-founder for my partner. So yeah, this is how we were solving the problem back 10 years ago. So it was because there was a guy that he didn't had kind of the enough money to pay for photographers, and he relied on the content that was generated by the community. Right now we would call it influencers.
Yeah.
And he was putting that content and placing it into his e-commerce. So I would say that the pain is still there. I mean, we are mostly solving the same problem. The point is that right now the problem might be even bigger, because 10 years back, we would say that there was only one channel for an e-commerce, no? That it was mostly the e-commerce and that's it. Now we have the e-commerce, we have the mobile application, now you have TikTok, now you have Instagram, now you have Twitter. So the demand for content is much more larger than when it was 10 years ago. And brands do not have that capacity to generate content at scale, and this is why it makes sense to use a platform like us, because we can source that content that has been generated by the community at scale. Makes sense, Marcus?
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of videos and case studies on YouTube of these e-commerce companies that have really found out how to leverage the virality of user-generated content. So, for example, there was this product I saw, and it was called a sex chocolate. So it was a chocolate that like couples would take together, and they would
Okay.
break it, and that was sort of the branding around it. And this founder ended up leveraging user generated content. So he would send it out to influencers and they would create content around it. And I guess it had this virality factor, kind of this wow factor of this kind of chocolate. And the e commerce brands just blew up like crazy. And I believe he was leveraging TikTok for that.
Probably.
So I've seen the power of it. It's very interesting to me. So why did you guys decide after starting in 2014, 2015 to eventually merge with Flowbox?
Okay, so back in 2020, so basically in 2022, let's say that in the European market, there was kind of, let's say, a handful of other companies doing the same thing. Okay, but there were two that were kind of, let's say, outstanding on that market. Okay, that they were kind of maybe 2 or 3 times bigger than their next one. Okay, these two were Flowbox and Photoslurp. So Flowbox was really strong into the Nordics and strong into the Benelux market. Photoslurp was strong into the Spanish, let's say Southern Europe, UK, Latin American market, and also the Dutch market for kind of historical reasons. But we were competing into the French, into the German, into the Nordics, into the Spanish, and we were investing each on our. So, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, you know? So at the end we said, why instead of fighting each other, because we are fighting each other, but then we need to fight with our US peers that are getting into the European market. So we have other voices, we have the Pixleys, we have the Yotpos. So why instead of fighting among us that we are the European guys, and no, why don't we join forces and then we can become stronger and fight back the US guys? And then when this was kind of the rationale of the first conversation, and I said, makes sense. I like to join forces. I think that I have a kind of quite a pragmatic approach on things. So and then when we kind of started to kind of, okay, let's see if the case makes sense, no? And we saw that we're quite complementary geographically for kind of the distribution of our customers. Then we saw that Flowbox was a kind of a really good sales engine. No, they were really good at generating new sales from an outbound perspective, whereas Photoslurp was really efficient as an inbound machine, for example. They were quite strong on, I don't know, kind of on the back end, and we were quite strong on the front end, this kind of thing. So we said, wow, kind of when we got into the details, we saw that it was kind of a match out of heaven. I don't know if I, you know.
Perfect. You said it perfectly. Yeah. Wow. A match made in heaven.
This works. Yeah. It's like, it's like, it was a no-brainer. So I recall kind of going to Stockholm, meeting Marcus and meeting kind of the VC that backs Flowbox. And kind of the three of us at the end of the meeting, we said, it's a no-brainer. It's like, let's get us started, you know? So, yeah, this is how we make it, Marcus.
That's so awesome.
From there, this was kind of back in November 2021. Then we go through the LOI, due diligence process, and we were signing all the papers in June 2022.
Okay.
So it's quite smooth and fast process, to be honest.
So you said your business before had a lot of inbound, had a good inbound marketing setup and system in place. Yeah. And Flowbox had a very good outbound system in place. And that's why it was a good connection, because from a marketing perspective, you could cover both of these fronts that you guys each specialized in and were very strong in. Have you found, since combining forces, what have been your main growth strategies since combining forces? Have you kind of leaned one way or to another, or have both been going strong and growing strong?
We have, so both of them are quite strong. For example, back at Photoslurp, approximately 50% of our revenues were coming in from pure inbound. Okay. Mm-hmm. And at that moment in time, from Flowbox was 0%. It was 99% pure outbound, cold calling, right? Old school, let's say. Yeah. As of today, or let's say as of 2024 data, roughly 35% of the revenues are already coming from inbound. Okay, so we have been able to successfully leverage the capabilities that we have back at Photoslurp to blend them into the Flowbox sales engine machine. Mm-hmm. And right now, basically, what we have also been doing is we have been kind of shifting a bit the marketing towards kind of supporting the sales as well. Okay, so I try that both our head of marketing and head of sales, they work and they sync together. So mm-hmm. they work as a revenue team in a way. So okay, we are gonna attack this market, or we are having this kind of, let's say, objections. Okay, let's kind of try to work on a marketing piece that can be used by the sales team to overcome these objections. Or let's work on create these kind of success cases that are going to be leveraged because we are going to attack this certain industry or this certain type of customers, so we try to align the efforts of both sales into marketing into one single direction.
Awesome. Yeah. So yeah, I love that. So yeah, if you're facing objections in a certain sales cycle, you can create marketing documents that could help solve those objections, and your salespeople can then leverage that to send out to their clients and avoid that. So Eulogi, I'd love to dive in. When you talk about the inbound marketing portion, what are you guys publishing? Is this content through LinkedIn? Is this what sort of content strategies are you doing to get inbound leads into the business?
So first of all, I wouldn't say that we super heavily, but we invest a lot on SEO. Okay, both on page and off page on link building. So this is something that we have been working over the last few years, and this comes from kind of, let's say, Photoslurp heritage or Photoslurp way of doing things. And the other thing that we have been working on is on being super active on content generation. Okay, so content generation for us is not just kind of blog articles. For example, blog articles. We, as I said, we work on topics that are kind of aligned with the sales objectives. Also, topics that are aligned with SEO purposes. But then all this content, then we translate it to the languages that we work with. So that's kind of in our European kind of approach, right? So we try to, if someone Dutch lands into our website, they will be seeing the website in Dutch. They will see Dutch customers. They will see the blog in Dutch. They will be called by a Dutch guy, and the support is going to be in Dutch as well. Okay, so we try to get all this seamless experience in your own language across the whole shopping journey or working with us, right? So going back to the inbound machine, so blog articles. Also, we work a lot on LinkedIn. So we try to showcase our customers. We try to do kind of record kind of good experiences of some of our customers. So we share this knowledge on LinkedIn. And then the other arena that we have been working on, not so much in last year, but it's something that we have been doing as well, is on co-marketing with other companies from the same space, or kind of not same space, but adjacent technologies. Okay. So for example, in 2023, we're kind of quite active on doing webinars with, for example, Shopify France or Shopify Spain. So, or that we were joining forces with other maybe e-commerce agencies and kind of try to do events, online events or physical events. This is something that we have also been working a lot. But yeah, that would be so mostly SEO, on page, off page, content generation, and content distribution.
It's very interesting as I'm Canadian, and obviously
I missed one thing, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you. We also do performance marketing. Okay, mostly on Google. That's the channel that works the best for us. That would be the last thing that we do to get demand.
When you say performance marketing, do you mean ads?
Yeah. Google ads and display ads on mostly on Google, and then on the retargeting as well. We do ads.
Okay, awesome. The one thing I find really different as you talk about the European market is that there's all these different languages and different markets that you can target. As someone who's Canadian, and I typically do business with companies in Canada and the US, and it's almost exclusive that we speak English. In Canada, we do have one province in Canada that speaks French. So I have worked at a previous company where we had most of our offices in Quebec and some in Ontario. But mostly I haven't really talked to anybody who's been doing marketing across different languages. So it's very interesting to hear how perhaps you could have one piece of content that's in English to start, but then you can kind of horizontally scale that across different languages and different markets there. And that gives you a lot of reach from a single piece of content.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then when we're going to the outbound strategies, are you guys leveraging cold email? Is it still cold calling, or what do you guys usually do there?
Yeah. So I'm going to give you a kind of a context here. So when we when we merged the companies, we tried to implement kind of the sequences, kind of multi-channel, multi-touch sequences on that we're leveraging cold calling, cold emailing, cold LinkedIn, etc. I think that we didn't implement it well back then, and we didn't really kind of maximize the value. So one thing that we did kind of 15 months ago is like we went back to basics, and back to basics was back to the phone.
Yeah.
So we did so. We implemented that strategy in October 2023. Yeah, 2023. And in a way, this created kind of a, let's say, an atmosphere in the office where the sales team, they really needed to fight for to get a demo from a company. So what we were feeling when we were having the sequences is that in a way, it's like, okay, I have kind of enrolled that person into that sequence. Sit back and relax. I will let the system to do it for me, no?
Yeah.
And we felt that the team was not fighting enough for the thing. So this is why I said, okay, let's go back to basics. Let's make sure that the team fights to get a demo. Kind of they really want to succeed and close and schedule a demo. Today we are revisiting this again. Okay, so 1 year after, we like to do this kind of retrospective analysis. Okay, how has been work? No, can we change something? And we did so back in January, February, and we saw, okay, what happened in the last 12, 14 months. And we saw that while we have been kind of increased that appetite, that kind of fighting spirit across the outbound sales team, now we lack a bit of a structure. Okay, so we were not treating the accounts in the same way. They were not following the same process. They were not following. There was kind of no blueprint in a way on how to penetrate an account. So now we are kind of thinking, okay, is there a way that we can bring back from sequences and that we can bring back from the cold calling, kind of pure cold calling, one single channel approach? So we can in a way enhance the current kind of setup, and this is where we are now, Marcus. So we are kind of trying to think, okay, while we want the team to be fighting and to have this kind of spirit, what can we do to have a much better kind of structure throughout the day for them, so we penetrate the accounts into the same single way, and this is where we are right now, Marcus. Basically, we want kind of, okay, how we can make the version 2.1 of the process.
So would you say that's a major focus of the business then, is refining this outbound flow? So that's a major focus for you guys this year.
Yeah. It's how we can enhance that flow. So in a way, I want the team to be much more productive. Okay.
Yeah.
And so let's say that I want to have much more demos scheduled per capita. I want to have much more deals closed per capita. I want to have a much more AOV per capita, or much more new sales per capita. That's kind of what we are aiming for bringing kind of scaling with efficiency.
And how do you guys go about measuring those results? Do you come up with certain numbers that you want your salespeople to hit? How do you measure efficiency and productivity? And then how do you ensure that when you're trying new things, that the team is hitting those goals or making progress there?
Yeah. So right now, let me explain you how we have the sales team structured. Okay, so we have 3 profiles in the sales team. We have the SDR profile that basically it's someone that mostly right now they are just kind of over the phone trying to schedule a demo, that this demo will be done by the sales manager. Okay, and this is kind of one combo, we call it, the combo of sales manager and SDR. The other profile, or the third profile that we have in the company, is the account executive. That right now probably it's gonna be called as the full stack sales guy. Okay, basically they do everything. They try to they go on LinkedIn, they search for contacts, they try to call, they try to do the meeting, they negotiate the deal, etc. No, they make everything happen.
Yeah.
So we have these kind of profiles right now in the company. Each one of them, for each one of them, we have kind of different KPIs and different kind of thresholds. For example, the SDRs they are measured solely on the number of demos that they have scheduled. Okay.
Mm.
The sales managers, they are measured on the amount of deals, not the amount of revenue, the amount of contracted ARR that they close on a given month. And the same thing for the account executives. The account executives, even though they have to schedule by themselves, but they are measured by, for me, what is kind of the leading indicator, that is the revenue that they generate for the company. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That would be kind of the main KPIs. From there, okay, how is the pipeline evolving over time? How many companies of this quality? How many other companies of the other quality? These kind of things, okay. And then how we also look at the productivity of the sales team is kind of on new sales generated on a given month, new sales generated on a given month by employee. So this is how we measure the productivity, okay. And the other measure that we look for the sales department is the AOV. Okay, how is the AOV? Basically total amount of new sales divided by new logos that has been signed up in the company. This is how we kind of measure the sales team on a, let's say, overview kind of scale.
Awesome. And the customers that you have that are using Flowbox, do they pay on a monthly subscription basis, or how does the pricing structure work?
Yeah, so we mostly work on annual contracts.
Okay.
So we do not work with monthly kind of auto-renewing subscriptions. We work on annual auto-renewal subscriptions. Okay, this gives us a lot of predictability on how our revenue will look like, and especially this is super important for us because we can be really spot on forecasting the cash balance at the end of the month. Okay. And then this annual subscription can be paid annually, and then we have also clients that pay monthly, and they have customers that they pay on a quarterly basis. But let's say on 95% of the cases, we have these annual contract-based subscriptions, and on 50% of the cases, they are paid annually upfront.
Okay, awesome. Have you had to deal with any objections for a longer contract basis? And if so, how do you guys go about dealing with those?
That's a typical objection. So basically, what we tell them is that at the end, they will start seeing the benefits across some months. So it's you need kind of to start the engine of collecting this content. Then you need to populate this content across the whole shopping journey. Then you kind of need you need kind of several months to see how the people is interacting with this content, kind of try to fresh out the content on your website. So there are a lot of things that needs to be done throughout the year for them to really assess if this is going to be working or not. Okay, so this is not something that you plug in, you test, and you go out. I mean, this will not give you enough insights and data to make an assessment if this works for you or not works. So this is what we tell our customers, is that this takes time. I mean, it's an investment that you need to do. We are going to be supporting the whole process and the whole journey. We are going to have a dedicated customer success manager that will ensure that you work in the proper way and you get the results that you are aiming for. But this takes time, and as everything in life takes time. So this is why we run on 1 year subscription. So both parties, we have the right time to make sure that this is a success.
Yeah, 100%. It's not, and that's good to set that expectation as well, and how that kind of works into the pricing, because people will be investing more time and they'll be more likely to really use the platform with that understanding that, hey, I'm going to try this out, I'm going to keep on using it, and I have this time frame to really find the full benefits of it.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, probably this might be reducing our sales velocity, but it increases a lot our predictability moving forward on the revenue side and the cash side. So we prioritize the revenue and the cash side on this.
Awesome. Eulogi, as we start to wind down here, I have one question about the product that I'm really interested to know as a developer. And then we'll get into a few shorter winding down questions about your experience. So the first one is you guys work with the APIs of these large social media platforms, correct?
Correct.
Do you communicate directly with internal teams at these platforms? Or because working with APIs, they're bound to change. And I know there's been lots of stories where Instagram changes their API and that has a downstream effect of affecting other businesses who rely on that. So are those some challenges that you guys have faced on the engineering side? And if so, what's your experience about going about handling those challenges?
Yeah. So first of all, both Photoslurp and Flowbox both have been platforms that have been connected through the official API of, let's say, Instagram, okay, or Meta as of today, okay?
Yeah.
And I recall my days at Photoshop that even one guy of Meta came to our office to visit us.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yeah. They came to Barcelona. I mean, probably they were visiting a lot of things. But they came, and we had a 1 hour long meeting to meet us. And then we were giving kind of this, I don't know, 50 or 60 or 100 pages document that we needed to sign back then. So we were ensuring how we were treating the data, how we are gonna be using the data, And then when we joined Flowbox, for example, they were, we are a certified or a batched meta developer. Okay, this means that we need to go through several checkups across the year to certify that we can, or kind of to verify that we can still access their API. Okay, and they review the whole company. They review our security protocols. They review our policies on how we treat the data. They review our policies on how we do the backups, which type of information we save, what do we do with the information. And they do this every year to make sure that we are compliant and that we can still be using the API. So I can understand that some companies that might not have been going through this process, or maybe they have been kind of playing not the right game, they have been screwed up by the Instagram or the Meta API. But we haven't in 10 years because we have been ultra diligent on doing our things and our homework to make sure that we stay on top of this.
Yeah, awesome. So yeah, it's a partnership that's there, that you guys are constantly working with them, and then, as you said, doing your due diligence.
Yeah, and obviously as a Facebook batch partner, we have a kind of a dedicated business partner that in some cases we have kind of, hey, we have seen this change on the API, what's going on? Yeah, guys, we are doing these changes, no worries, pam pam. So we also have this kind of support, let's say, channel in case something strange happens. But usually we are good to go. So nothing major has occurred, I would say, in the last 2 years at least. So
awesome. So this is an ever-growing industry as more people are online, more people are using social media. What sort of trends do you see going forward with user-generated content and the importance of that for e-commerce brands?
Yeah, so for me, how we see this evolution is that. So let me kind of paint you the picture on how we see the problems of the e-commerce industry. Okay, so what we see is that overall the e-commerce industry is facing a problem on how they can create an inspiring shopping experience. Okay, basically it's a fight for customers. It's a fight kind of to get the attention of customers. It's a fight kind of to get a customer kind of to purchase again, to create this community, to create this loyalty. And on top of this, another kind of thing that is happening, especially here in Europe, is on the data and privacy regulations, that sooner than later brands will not be able to work with third-party data, and they are forced to work with their own, what is called the zero-party data. Okay, so basically we see these two trends moving forward. Okay, so how I can create a meaningful shopping experience, and how can I start working with my zero-party data. With that set in mind, what we have seen for many years is that user-generated content, and for us, you asked me at the beginning, make your definition of user-generated content. User-generated content for me, it's content that can be visual, like the social media, images or videos, can be text, can be a blog, for example, can be a review, right? Can be done by just a single customer, can be done by influencer, can be done by an employee, can be done by a brand ambassador, whatever. No, or basically, this is what we understand for user-generated content. On our case, what we have seen is that images and videos generated by the community are a really important element to inspire the shoppers. And we have seen this by the data. Okay, what gets more clicks? What gets more engagement? What gets more sales done? Okay, so what the data is constantly telling us, A/B tests are telling us, is that UGC drives more sales than traditional branded content. So it's for me, it's a kind of a no-brainer. In the future, moving forward, what brands require is user-generated content to create that inspiring shopping experience. Make sense so far, Marcus?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so another thing that we also know is how the behavior of the shoppers. Okay, and my case, that I'm 42 years old, I used to search for things on Google. That was my source of trust.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe right now I'm relying on ChatGPT, right? So I might be starting to do some research on ChatGPT. But for example, my girlfriend, that she's younger than me, she doesn't search on Google. She searches on TikTok. She searches on social media. So what we see as well is that brands eventually, they will need to cooperate, work with content creators, because this is going to be the new SEO for brands to be searched on.
Mm-hmm.
So this is our bet. Our bet is on the content creator side. So it's like how we can support brands to create a really kind of to work with content creators at scale, so they can get their products, their services known across the whole across the whole kind of, let's say, searching process. And once this content has been created, to offer them a way to integrate this content back into the e-commerce, so you close the loop, right? So basically, what we are aiming to do, what we want to do is to kind of to cover the whole value chain of the content creation. Right now we are doing is we are kind of doing the collection and distribution, but we are not working on all the identifying brand ambassadors, content creators, source them, brief them, pay them for the content, then fits this. So we want to provide an end-to-end content creation, content commerce, or content creators commerce platform for brands. That's where we are heading towards, Marcos. Make sense?
Yeah, that's very interesting. So it could be a platform that connects the brands to the creators. That'll be one part of it. And as you said, as you mentioned with your girlfriend, my sisters, they would show me recipes, for example, that they found on TikTok, and they would go and cook that. Somebody who doesn't really use TikTok, I wouldn't really think to do that. I would Google a recipe. But it's crazy to see, how these platforms are becoming. You can use them in so many more ways than one would traditionally think.
Correct.
And you guys want to position yourself as a place where these brands can go to really just create an easier way for them to connect with these creators and get their products in front of users and help them, facilitate that communication.
Yeah, because at the end, as you said, your sisters, she's looking for recipes, but maybe she's also looking for handbags, or maybe she wants to get a new shirt. So she's looking, I don't know, shirts for my wedding, whatever, At the end, this TikTok algorithm, Meta algorithm, or Instagram algorithm will populate content from creators. Usually it's video or photos around that
Yeah.
thing. So what you want is that that this brand is able kind of to be on the first kind of first results of that algorithm. And the way to do this is no longer on investing on Google SEO. It's about having a really powerful and defined content creator strategy so I can become on the first part of the results. Make sense, Marcus?
Yeah. I love it. And it's very interesting to me to see how people looking for information just continues to change going forward. And it's great to see how you guys are on the forefront of that and really capturing that with the social media platforms. So, Eulogi, I have a final question for you here. You have over a decade plus of entrepreneurial experience. You've started multiple businesses. If you could look back at your time through an entrepreneur, all the challenges that you faced and all the things that you can go through, what's one piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
Um, uh, I'm, I haven't thought on this question, but what I'm sure is that I do not regret of what I have been doing at all. So I probably would tell to kind of, hey Eulo, if I came to the past and I can speak with my Eulo, 10 years, not 10 years ago, I would tell, man,
Yeah.
just man, don't you will not regret. Just enjoy the experience. You will have fun.
Well said.
You learn a lot. You will cry a lot. You will be excited a lot, but especially you will enjoy a lot the ride. And I love what I do. I enjoy my day to day. I enjoy kind of working with the team, supporting leading brands across the globe. I really enjoy my life. So this is why I do not regret of what I did, and I would go back and I say, hey, Ulo, just do it, man. Don't settle. Just do it. Be persistent.
Awesome. Love it. And Eulogi, where can people go online to learn more about yourself and Flowbox?
On LinkedIn, I don't know if I have a decent profile, but I have a profile there on LinkedIn. Then on Instagram, they can also search for my profile, but I don't really post that many things. I just kind of some stories. And about the company, they can just go into getflowbox.com and that's it. Easy.
Awesome. Eulogi, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a very eye-opening conversation. One, diving into UGC, how people are using social media going forward and what the evolution will be. And as well for me, just really understanding all the different parts of Flowbox and the business, and then also how you guys are growing the business in a market that I don't have too much experience with. And that changes a lot on how you go about doing things. So, Eulogi, thank you so much for coming on the show.
It has been a pleasure, Marcos. Thank you for giving me this opportunity.